you.
Good morning. The March 28th meeting of the Board of Estimates is now called to order. In the interest of promoting the order and efficiencies of these hearings, persons who are disrupted to the hearing will be asked to leave the hearing room immediately. Meetings of the Board of Estimates are open to the public for the duration of the meeting. The hearing room must be vacated at the conclusion of the meeting. Failure to comply may result in a charge of trespassing. Madam Deputy Controller, are there any corrections, additions, or deferrals on the agenda?
Good morning. For today's agenda, on page 77, item number 13, right before the MBEWE participation, the second line above that, it currently has September 31st, 2018. Please change that to September 30th, 2018. We have one item that's being deferred, and that's pages 11 to 12, items 2 and 3, that'll be deferred for 1 week. We have an additional item that's being moved to the non-routine agenda, and that is page 67. I have the following abstentions to report. For the Honorable Mayor Pugh, there are no abstentions. For the Honorable President Young, he will abstain on page 2, item 1, and pages 90 to 91, items 1 through 3, and on page 92, item number 5. There are no abstentions for the Honorable Comptroller Pratt. The items that are on the non-routine agenda are page 1, page 20, page 67, and pages 82 to 83, item number 1. Mr. President and members of the board, that is the correction for today, the one deferral. The abstentions has been reported, as well as the items on the non-routine agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. I will direct the board members' attention to the memorandum from my office dated March 26, 2018, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items, together with any corrections and additions that have been noted by the Deputy Controller. I will entertain a motion to approve all the items contained on the routine agenda.
Mr. President, I so move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carried. The routine agenda has been adopted. The first item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 1. At this time, Robert Sinema, the city's budget director, will present the preliminary budget recommendation for fiscal year 2019 to the Board of Estimates.
Excuse me, Mr. President, before we start, I need to make one correction for my announcements about the abstentions and votes. I neglected to announce that for the Honorable President Young, he will be voting no on page 11, item number 1. Thank you.
You can go ahead, Bob.
Okay, good morning. Thank you. Good morning, Madam Mayor, Mr. President, Madam Comptroller, members of the board. My name is Bob Senemy, City Budget Director, and I'm here today to present the Finance Department's preliminary budget plan for fiscal 2019. So the preliminary budget plan for 2019, and it's a total of $3.4 billion. It's $2.8 billion of operating expenses and $618 million of capital investment. Looking at just the general fund only, it's $1.88 billion of operating expenses. And on the capital side in the general fund, it includes $105 million of capital investment from city-backed sources, general obligation bonds, county transportation bonds, and PAYGO capital. That's the highest level of city-backed investment since pre-recession levels in 2009. Our budget process this year was organized around the mayor's 5 pillars: education, public safety, economic development and jobs, quality of life, and accountability and transparency. And there was a particular focus this year, of course, on public safety, given the mayor's emphasis on focus on violence reduction. So I wanted to mention a few highlights from the budget, just a couple things on those points. So on the prevention side of public safety, there's $1 million of general fund investment to bring the ROCA program to Baltimore. That's an addition that will leverage additional dollars from private sources. We also have $3.6 million in the budget to expand the Safe Streets program. We're hoping to get state funding for that, but we're committed to using general fund dollars if need be to bring that program, to expand that program in Baltimore. In our core public safety agencies, in the police department, we're restoring funding for 100 police officer positions. That action will more closely align the police department's budget with recent spending history, but we have had improved recruitment, and we are planning to fill those positions as soon as we can. We're also investing $1.3 million in our crime lab. We're planning on the crime lab. We're putting positions towards using evidence, gun and ballistics evidence, to better help in the crime fight. And we're also putting $750,000 towards strategic command centers in our police districts. Again, that will also leverage outside dollars to better gather intelligence and help our police officers on the street. In the fire department, we are recommending to replace 2 suppression units with 2 EMS units. All of the data that we have seen suggests that the bulk of our calls, our emergency calls, are for medical services, so we're hoping that change will better meet the demand of our citizens. In other parts of the budget outside of public safety, wanted to emphasize schools and education as well. So fiscal 19 will mark the 2nd year of the mayor's $90 million commitment over 3 years to the city schools. That's helping to bridge the city schools through their financial issues as we wait for the Kerwin Commission at the state to evaluate state funding, education funding formulas. Total investment for city schools this year will exceed $370 million. That includes maintenance of effort for operating support. That includes capital investment into the 21st Century Buildings Fund and direct services we provide, like school crossing guards and school nurses. In other parts of the budget outside of public safety and education, we're maintaining core services. We're budgeting for a pay increase of 2% for all employees. And again, through the capital budget, we're continuing our investment in things that our citizens need and demand. On the revenue side, the tax rate will remain this year at $2.248 per $100 of assessed value. But for owner-occupied properties, those owner-occupied properties are benefiting from what we call the targeted homeowners tax credit. That has had the effect of reducing their effective tax rate by 7% since the beginning of the program when it was started in fiscal 2012. Those are the key highlights. I'd like to just mention in closing that the process from here, next Wednesday, we will do a more detailed briefing for the Board of Estimates. We will have our agency heads available at that time to answer more detailed questions on the budget. That's next Wednesday, April 4th at 10 a.m. in City Hall. And then next Wednesday, that evening, we will have our annual Taxpayers Night. That's an opportunity for citizens to come in, ask about the budget, chime in on the budget. It's a 2-hour event from 6 to 7. We will have what we call budget pop-up. We'll have agency participants there. We'll have our staff there so citizens can interact with us and ask us anything they'd like about the budget. Then the formal program from 7 to 8 o'clock p.m. that evening is for residents to sign up, and they can make comments directly to the board. So we'd encourage the board to, as we see citizens, encourage them to be at that event next week. That ends my formal remarks. I'm happy to take any questions from the board at this time.
Any questions? Thank you. The second item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 20, Department of Honors Performance Audit Report, Department of Public Works, fiscal year 2016 and 15. Will the parties please come forward?
Good morning, members of the board. I'm Audrey Askew, Acting City Auditor. Department of Public Works Performance Audit. The agency financial audit was presented previously for DPW, so therefore that's why we wanted them both to be presented. That one has already been presented. Okay. Page 2, Engineering, Construction Management, Distribution System, Water Loss. Background, distribution system water loss represents the percent of volume of water produced at the treatment plants that is not consumed by customers. Finding 1, DPW Office of Asset Management did not meet its target for the distribution system water loss, the percentage of total water flow, performance measure during fiscal year 15. After fiscal year 16, this performance measure was no longer in the budget books. For fiscal year 15, the actual percentage of total unaccounted for water was 35.1%, which exceeded the target of 25%. DPW has identified possible causes for the distribution system water loss, such as leaks, inaccuracies of the customer billing system, and inaccuracies of the meters for supplying water. According to DPW, the inaccuracies of the customer's meters are being addressed by an ongoing meter replacement program. We recommend DPW continue to monitor the pressure zones and aggressively pursue appropriate action to address the causes identified by DPW in order to reduce distribution water loss.
Yes. I'm Dale Thompson, Deputy Director of the Department of Public Works. And while the department did agree, or we do agree with the findings of the auditor, this is one of the reasons why we are replacing all of the old meters, and with the new system, we will be more accurate.
So the audit represents FY 2015. How many meters have you all, how close are we finishing the replacement meters, or have we done that yet? How many meters have not been replaced?
That I can't give you that information. I will, though, provide that.
Okay, because there ought to be a timeline.
Yes, we do have a timeline, but I didn't have that information with me, but we will provide it.
Because this is 2015's audit. We've gone through 2016, 2017. Now we're in 2018. We'd like to know where we are.
Right.
Yes.
And on finding number one, why the performance measures are no longer appearing in the city budget book?
We don't know, it's just out of the budget book. We will be auditing the budget book as well in the future audit.
Okay, well, can anybody answer that?
I can attempt to.
Is that for this year, or is this something new?
No, it just says that it's
In
no
26
longer
They stopped the
stopped in 2016.
monitoring.
Oh, they stopped it in 2016.
Right.
So how do we account for that? Okay.
Mr. President, you want me to respond?
Yeah, you can respond.
Mr. President, the response to your question is that as we're looking at the budget metrics in there, traditionally we have number of metrics in there, and we continue to refine the metrics, and we have deleted and added some metrics into the budget cycle to account for more meaningful, what we feel is more meaningful, more operational related data, but that doesn't mean that we're no longer tracking all these. We are still tracking all these in the background, just that it's not appearing in the
Okay.
budget book.
All right, because I like to know if we're not tracking the water loss, then, if we're losing water and we're not tracking it, how can we, account for the water?
We are definitely tracking the water loss. We do a water loss analysis on an annual basis, and that's precisely why we are addressing the water main replacement with our aging infrastructure and all that, because the majority of the loss are through these aging pipes.
Okay.
So let me ask you a
Well,
question.
Madam,
So after fiscal 15, 16 and 17, have we exceeded the 25% target?
Well, we are still sort of looking at, because number of factors, we're trying to adopt ourselves with the American Water Works Association, AWWA standard, in terms of tracking water loss. And we are implementing that strategy in the last year or so. And we don't have the published number yet, but that is the number, that's the methodology that we have adopted now. So now we basically are more unified in terms of the water utilities in the way they measure water loss, unlike what we had done in the past.
okay, well, I look at lost water as lost revenue. So I'm hoping that the audit department can audit this part of the program in DPW of the water loss.
It's not scheduled until the next cycle unless you want to do something, you want to do this?
Yeah,
Okay, separate, okay.
absolutely.
One of the things we want to look at is the entire operations, but, we can.
Okay. Okay. Page 4. Engineering, construction management, percentage of MBE, WBE participation in engineering and construction projects. Background, MBE, WBE participation in DPW's engineering and construction projects, contracts is managed by the Minority and Women's Business Organization Opportunity Office. DPW will not meet its MBE, WBE participation targets if the contractors or consultants do not meet the MBE, WBE goals set by the Minority and Women's Business Opportunity Office. DPW Engineering Construction Management did not meet its fiscal year 16 and fiscal year 15 performance measure targets for the percentage of MBE, WBE participation in engineering and construction projects. The budget book performance measure targets for MBE, WBE participation. For 2016, the target was 30%, 2015, 27%. The actual MBE, WBE participation for both years were 23%. Actual participation reported amounts paid to MBE, WBE are determined at the end of each fiscal year. We noted that it is possible for the reported percentages of MBE, WBE participation for a particular project to be different from one year to the next, since the MBE, WBE payments do not occur evenly throughout each contract term. We recommend DPW review the methodology used to report the percentage of MBE, WBE participation in these projects and determine whether the current methodology need to be updated or revised.
At the department, in reviewing this, one of the things that we wanted to note is that if we have long-term contracts, the MBE, WBE may not be until the end of the contract. Our project managers do monitor the contracts very closely and make sure that the contractors are following and living up to the MBE, WBE participation percentage.
Okay. Page 6, waste removal and recycling, percentage of mixed trash and recycling pickups. DPW did not meet its fiscal year 16 and 15 performance measure targets for the percent of mixed trash and recycling pickups. And I want to note that it was very immaterial, but I still have to report it because they did not meet them. Per the budget book, 2016 was 0.5%, so 0.5%. 2015 target was 0.4%. The actual amounts for 16 was 0.7 or 0.7%, and 15 was 0.6%. Actual amounts are calculated through the customer service report. These numbers reflect contact to 311 operators who then create the missed, refuse, and recycling service requests. Solid waste employees pull this information, investigate, and close the CSR once it is addressed. And we recommend that DPW management review and monitor missed trash and recycling pickups and continue to determine the causes of these missed pickups.
The department, while we do understand and the percentage was low, when you look at with the CSR system, citizens will call and report a missed trash. It could be that they set their trash out late, but the superintendents and the Bureau of Solid Waste does monitor all of those service requests very closely.
Okay, I can truly say that I know that this system works. I've seen neighbors of mine put their trash out late and tell me that, the trash man missed their trash. I even did it one time myself, just forgot to put my trash out, So I did take it to 28th Street. I didn't call and report that it was missing.
Thank you.
So
Just take mine back in.
so keep up the good work and just keep monitoring and make sure that we can have our customers really satisfied with our trash pickup and recycling.
Because our crews do start at 6 a.m. in the morning.
I seen them out there in the rain this morning.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The audit has been noted. The third item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 67, Bureau of Procurement, Baltimore Police Department, and Minority and Women's Business Opportunity Office. Report to the board on B500005017 background investigation. Will the parties please come forward?
Good morning, Madam Comptroller, Council President, Madam Mayor, honorable members of the board. Aaron Chair Smith, City Purchase Agent for the Bureau of Procurement. I do have Mr. Coates from Kentech Consulting with me this morning, as well as Major Hans from BPD, and they can report on both the efforts to comply with MBE and the operational efforts so far. Thank you.
Good morning. It's Kenneth Coates from Kentech. I believe since our last meeting in October, we were requested to bring on an MBE and a WBE. We were able to successfully find 2 MBE and WBE. However, since the start of the contract, one has officially withdrawn, and the WBE has actually been non-responsive. So we have not had any spend with these WBEs and MBEs who originally signed up. We're in the process of right now requesting a change for WBE, which we're hoping to get approved. And then from the MBE, we've exhausted all efforts and turned to you guys to find out if there's any additional steps you would like to see us take in terms of trying to satisfy an MBE spend.
Let me ask you a question.
Are you working with the
Our
MBE
MBE
office?
Yes.
Because I'm quite sure we have somebody that can do this.
in the world.
Courtney Billups. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Madam Mayor, Madam Comptroller, honorable board members. Courtney Billups, Chief of the Minority Women's Business Opportunity Office. My understanding is I have not received any information from Kentech or the MB subcontractor with respect to participation. To date, there's been no MB utilization, and there's been no terms met with this particular MBE. This is the first time I've heard about a withdrawal. I've had no notice of that whatsoever. With respect to the WBE, there was a request made, but there is some dispute as to communications. Kentech has represented that the WB was non-responsive. The WB has stated that they've had no contact with Kentech since the beginning of the bid. So there is some dispute with respect to participation and good faith efforts.
Okay, because I would like to know why the ones who, accepted, why they walked away. I mean, that's a question I'd like to know.
Well,
I'm not aware of
you
the
just got
MB.
No, I want to ask the gentleman.
Okay, I'm sorry. Ask the question again, please.
The question is, why did both of them, well, one you said was non-responsive, and one you said just didn't want to do it? What's the reason, do you know?
Well, the MBE, there was a cost consideration that he finally decided that it wasn't to what he would require in terms of the spend, in terms of the pay rate. And then as far as the WBE, we have emails that we've sent and phone calls that we can provide to show that we have reached out to this WBE, and she's been non-responsive.
Okay, well, as a part of the contract, there's a certain percentage that have to go to the MBA. So they knew that from the start. So I don't understand why they would withdraw from that if they knew the percentage that they were getting of this contract. So that answer to me really is troubling.
What is the activity? What were they going to perform?
You said when?
What?
Background
Field
investigation.
investigations. So we brought them on to do field investigations as part of the background
The
investigations.
MBE and the WBE?
Yes.
What were the name of the firms?
LSA, so Legal Services and Associates, I want to say, and Comprehensive Investigations Incorporated.
Are they local? Are they Baltimore?
Yes. Well, the WB is from Timonium.
Timonium.
Yes.
Yeah. Can I ask our office to take a real close look at this? We know we have plenty of MBE firms in this area, so can we take a closer look at this? Because something's not right here, and we need to fix it. Okay?
Madam Controller?
So are you saying that no minority firm has submitted invoices to you for payment?
We have not procured their services. So let's just put this in context too. We just started the contract in January about 3 months ago. So far we received maybe about 40 orders for background investigations. Okay. But since we've started, part of the process is contracting with the field investigator to do the work. Mm-hmm. When we've contacted the MBE, there was some challenges over the amount, the spend in terms of what they prefer in terms of a billable rate versus what we were offering. And then the WBE has just not responded. We've sent emails in terms of trying to communicate to say that the work has officially begun, but there has not been any response from them. So we left phone calls. In fact, the MBU office, Ms. Kopru, has actually tried reaching out too. So I think there is a miscommunication between them. Yes.
So Sahara Communications has not communicated with you? They have not?
Correct. Not only with myself, but with the compliance office as well.
For clarification, Sahara Communications is not your listed MBE. That's who's being requested to be substituted.
Yes, right.
Comprehensive Investigations has stated that you have not contacted them, so I would make a formal request for some documented good faith efforts with respect to MBE and WBE, what you've done in the last 3 months to reach out to MBE firms and this particular WBE, please.
We can provide that.
So for the record, no MBE or WBE firm has done work and has not submitted an invoice to you?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. The office, have you found an office here in the city of Baltimore? And if so, where?
Yes, we're at 400 East Pratt.
Okay. All right, I have some questions about this sheet here. There was 309 total applicants, 112 from out of state, 142 from the state of Maryland, 55 from Baltimore City. And then you have 97 males passed, 24 females. You have 15 that failed. What is the causes of them to fail?
So for the civil service test, it is a comprehensive exam with a pass score of a minimum of 70 up to 100. So when you see the fail, that means that the individual scored less than a 70% on the civil service test.
Okay.
So therefore, that would stop their progress to go further into the hiring of becoming a police trainee.
Okay, that's the African American male, and the females, 24 passed and 2 didn't.
Correct.
Okay, and on the Caucasian males, 80 of them passed and 4 failed.
Yes,
So
sir.
what is it that they failed? The application process?
It's the actual civil service test they take.
Okay.
It's about a 2.5-hour comprehensive test they take with reading and writing, other recognition skills that's needed to be a police, and they fail that exam. But however, they are given the time to come back and take the exam again.
Okay. So what part of, Kentech had 41 investigations and 18 were completed.
Yeah, so they have a 30-day window to complete their investigations. So far, they've been issued 41. 18 of them have been completed, which have been on time. The remainder of 23 are pending, which are not late. They're just ones to come later in duration.
Okay. Can you give me numbers prior to Kentech so I can compare apples to apples of the background investigations?
So,
I mean, y'all used to do it in-house or something?
Correct.
Or another company? How many were you able to investigate, background investigation? Just bring the information.
Yeah.
That's all.
And I'll make sure that they do that, but let me just say, Mr. President, for the first time, we will pass the attrition rate because they have speeded up the process. The process used to take 9 months in order to complete background checks. We're averaging now 4 to 6 months, which is in comparison to our surrounding jurisdictions, which is why we did the contracting outside, because we looked around the state to see what others were doing, in terms of the background checks. So.
Okay, but I just
But we'll
want
make
to,
sure you get that
I wanted to
information.
see what we were doing in-house with the background investigations and how many was completed during the same time period as this gentleman's company.
all right, so one of the questions, and I talked, myself and the innovation team had a conversation about the past data. So the way the past data was tracked, you could not actually track just the background piece itself because there's about 6 to 7 steps in becoming a police officer. So the past data, you cannot pull out the information to say how long it actually took for that background investigation that Kentech is now doing. But what I can say anecdotally over the last 3 months, because I came in the middle of January to the unit, is that the process for the backgrounds are definitely getting quicker because of the individuals that we've had in the last 3 months. They're closer to being finished than that 6, 9, or 12-month period. So the individuals, the 18 we're talking about, are those last few stages of becoming either approved for a police or being disapproved for a police. So we're talking about 4 months just with the applicants from January.
Okay, I can appreciate that because you're just getting there.
Yeah.
But what I can't appreciate is that we can't track it.
Yes. So I'm making some changes with the data that we can track that and be able to pull that data and answer those questions.
Okay. All righty, the report has been noted. Thank you. The fourth item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 81 to 83. Bureau of Procurement, recommendation for contract award, B50005154, citywide violation towing. Will the parties please come forward?
Good morning, Aaron Smith again for the Bureau of Procurement. We also have the recommended awardees who are here in case there's any questions.
Okay. Haven't seen you in a while.
Good to see you.
Okay, yeah, good to see you. Okay.
The Bureau of Procurement has submitted to the Board of Estimates a recommendation of award of solicitation B5005154, citywide violation towing, in which the award is to be made to the lowest responsive bidder for that specific sector of the city and for heavy-duty tows. So this morning, we are recommending award to the 4 vendors who are found to be both responsible bidders and who offered the lowest price for that sector. Each recommended awardee obtains 1 sector in this award. There is no multiple award situation in this case. The Frankfurt Towing was not recommended for award as they did not submit the lowest responsive bid for any of the various 4 sectors, nor for the heavy-duty towing. However, they submitted a protest against each award recommendation. The Bureau of Procurement disagrees with the statements made in the protest and responds to each point as follows. As to the lack of corporate seals, law has determined that this is a minor irregularity that can be waived at the board's discretion, and the Bureau of Procurement would ask that the board do so waive that for all of the vendors who made any of those deficient signatures where there was no seal. I would like to note that all of the MBU forms were properly filled out and they were all found to be compliant. If there's any additional questions as to the details of those in response to the protests on those forms, I would defer to Mr. Billups. As to the claim of lack of resources for any of these vendors, the city, both Bureau of Procurement and the Department of Transportation, is well aware of the resources, both that they have brought to the table in the past, they bring to the table at this point. We're confident that McDowell's Towing is fully able to continue to support the Central Business District. We have a new tower that we're recommending for award, CNS Towing. They filled out all the forms properly, and we feel that they've shown sufficient resources as well. We're excited to have them on the contract. Let's see. Jim Elliott's Towing has been in business for 60 years, and they are one of our current towers on various contracts. We're also confident that they have the resources. Let's see. And so the final point that was made against various awards is that the vendors signed the new affidavit for regarding reporting when they have been awarded a government contract. That is a new law. The COMAR states that they have 15 business days after award to file. So we and all of the vendors, I clarified that they are all on the belief that after this action is when they are required to file that they have a government contract, not prior to the award. At this, and any of the contracts that they had prior to that were in place prior to the enactment of this new law.
Paula?
Good morning, board members. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I did protest.
Paula, you have to state your name for the...
I'm sorry. I'm Paula Protani from Frankfurt Towing. Thank you. Good morning. I did protest the award of all 4 of these applicants due to omissions, due to the notaries not being stamped or the corporate seal, due to the lack of information being provided as to what equipment companies do have. I've sat in on the pre-bid meetings. We've been warned. We've been told that do not assume that anybody who reads your bid, your submission, knows your company, knows your equipment, knows your capabilities. It said clearly in the bid that we were supposed to provide a list of our equipment, our drivers. That was not done in some of the bids. I personally have lost a bid before because I didn't have a notary seal. So if these things are acceptable, not to have notary seals, not to have the MBE circled or the WBE circled, then that's fine. I would expect that that would occur in the future as well. And then as far as my third point, which was the political contribution disclosure, as someone and most of the other towers who already have contracts with Baltimore City, I felt that even if this contract was not awarded to me or any of them, that it was prudent that everybody sign up. I felt that the affidavit said that that's what we did. I didn't see anywhere it said after an award we had the opportunity to report, and that's why I made the complaints, or the protests, excuse me.
Somebody.
And Courtney Billups, Chief Minority Women's Business Opportunity Office. Just in response to the MBWB issues, on page 11 of the protest, Frankfurt Towing suggests that McDowell Enterprises does not indicate whether it's an MB or WBE, as well as J.J. Adams Fuel Company. In fact, on both the statement of intents, for both the MBE, which is, the WBE, which is McDowell Enterprises, 5 copies sure it's clearly identified, along with the certification number that we're able to verify. And for J.J. Adams Fuel Company, the MBE is clearly identified, along with the certification number. On page 13 of the protest, they suggest that Audubon, the prime contractor, does not identify whether it's a MB or WBE. The prime contractor is not required to identify whether it's an MB or WBE unless, of course, it is self-performing. Audubon is not a MBE or WBE, nor are they seeking to self-perform, so they're not required to identify that they're MB or WBE. With respect to their MBW submissions were not raised by the protestant. They both duly submitted MB firm and a WB firm for the requisite participation. And so in both instances, both of these companies were found compliant by my office.
If I can clarify what my complaint was there, was that on those sheets that you were provided, nothing is circled, or the circles are admitted around the MBE or the WBE. I haven't been through this process before of submitting a bid. I was told it's imperative that I's are dotted, T's are crossed, everything's circled. Bids get thrown out for missing notary seals, for missing signatures, for writing over a number. So apparently that system has been laxed. If that's the new way to go with it, then I'm fine.
With respect to the identification of the MB or WBE, the law states that the MB or WBE must be identified. Clearly on those forms, MB and WBE is typed in along with the certification number, so it's identified. The fact that it's not circled is not necessarily dispositive of whether or not they've identified MB or WBE.
Nice to know. Okay.
Is that a change?
No.
Okay.
The law says identify.
Okay.
The form says circle, the law says identify. And clearly the MB and WB were identified as MB and WB, as you can see on those forms.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. President, Madam Mayor, other members of the board. My name is Robert DeShiel. I represent the 4 proposed awardees, and I concur with the city's recommendation.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Madam.
Ms. Chair, could you report back to the board for McDowell Audubon and Jim Elliott that they are in compliance with the 14-107
Yes,
of the state election law
I will do that. Thank you.
within 15 days?
Yes.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President, board having considered all of the submission of the timely protests, I move that the board reject the protest as unwarranted and affirm the award recommended by procurement.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion carries. There have been no more business before the board. We will recess until bid opening at 12 noon.
When she comes back, we need to know what percentage. Right, exactly. That's what she.
Yes. The Board of Ethics is now in session for the receiving and opening of bids. We have one addendum for today, and that is B50005328, Baltimore City Shuttle Transit Service. Please change the bid due date from March 28th to April 11th, 2018. Those are the only addendum for today.
Okay, so the agenda is revised. So noted.
Thank you.
Still back on Monday.
Whatever you say is fine, don't worry.
Okay, thank you, Karen. So sweet.
Mr. Armstrong? I'm looking for the bid file. Did y'all see the bid file for this one? For this one? I'm not finding it yet, so I'm just trying to find it. Who opened it? You did? Yeah, that's a major thing, so. Let me get back. Is there a price up? This over later? Okay, because I want to make sure, because some things get low. Where's your price up? She's looking with that, please. See if there's anything possibly fixed with the oh, take that out. Nope, nobody's talking that way. No, I'm doing something else. I was checking, sometimes they have a tape or something, just making sure, okay, now.
So the only thing that I see is this, that has any prices. See, they didn't mark your tabs either.
Yeah. You just have a table of contents in it. Go through one more time, because otherwise we'll have to refer 35005249, Diversity and Labor Compliance Systems. This is a technical opening. Price will not be read. A bid bond in the fixed amount of $8,000 is required. Ask Reply Inc., doing business as B2G Noun, with a check. Yeah. Okay. Prism Compliance Management, subject to verification of a bid bond on file with the Department of Finance. Afterwards, okay.
Okay, both of these will be referred to the Bureau of Purchases. One, just one? Oh, okay, so let me clarify then. The Ask Reply Inc. will be referred to Bureau of Purchases for
Right.
verification, and early morning software is subject to verification
A bid bond.
of the bid bond. Okay.
All righty. Here's your second one, which is good. No bids. Keep that there. That's the next one. That goes with this one.
Okay, I think I'm square. Oh, let's,
B5005253, Malden Construction Equipment, OEM parts, warranty, and service repairs. A bid bond is not required. No bids were received. Okay. Here's number 3. B5005269, aftermarket parts and service for heavy trucks and equipment. A bid bond is not required. No, excuse me, sir, just, we'll call you when we finish these, sir. Thank you so much. Not a problem, thank you. Sure. Beltway International LLC, $2,500,000. Maryland Industrial Trucks, $2,308,571.43. Waste Equipment Sales and Service LLC, $2,050,000. Corelli Inc., $1,340,000. Norris PA LLC, doing business as Car Quest of Maryland, $2,399,500. Auto Barn Inc., $1,250,000. Sorry. Johnson and Towers Inc., $2,170,000. I understand we have someone from Fleet Pride Inc. here, And who would like to address the board? Would you please come forward, sir, and give your name and again your company name to make sure I have it correct?
My name is William Rosser. I'm with Fleet Pride in Baltimore, Maryland. You know what the whole address?
Yes.
It's 3530 South Hanover Street, Brooklyn, Maryland, 21225.
Thank you. Yes. You can address the board with your question, sir.
Honest mistake on our part. My boss thought this was due tomorrow. We thought we were getting in a day early. So I don't want to make an excuse for our.
Okay. Sir, we appreciate the effort that you put forward and also your honesty on this. The city charter is very clear that bids must be received by 11 o'clock. So sitting here today, we have no discretion to accept your bid. Generally, there is information in the instructions that tells you a bid due date. Sometimes purchases will even have a label with that on it. So I would just request that you look at the bid a little bit better, and also if you have any questions, you can contact the Bureau of Purchases. They can help guide you through to help you for the future.
Okay.
So thank you for coming in, and regrettably, we cannot take your bid.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, the 7 that were just opened will be referred to, the 7 bids that were just opened will be referred to the Bureau of Purchases for review.
B5005293, tandem axle tractors. A bid bond of 5% is required if the bid is over $100,000. Baltimore Truck Center with a check, $340,494.
Could you repeat that?
Yes, I can.
Please.
Baltimore Truck Center with a check,
Okay.
$340,494.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Harbor Truck Sales and Service, Inc., doing business as Baltimore Freightliner, $329,925. Beltway International LLC with a bid bond, $328,374.
Okay, these will be referred to the Bureau of Purchases for review. Wow. Okay.
This is B50005294, crew cab 5-ton dump trucks. A bid bond of 5% is required if the bid is over $100,000. Harbor Truck Sales and Services, Inc., doing business as Baltimore Freightliner with a check, $2,453,755. Okay. Beltway International LLC with a bid bond, $2,444,700. Excuse me.
These will be referred to Bureau of Purchases for review.
Next one.
Thanks.
B50005325, liquid propane. A bid bond is not required. It's 2 items. There's 3. There we go. This is an item bid. Prices will not be read. Thompson Gas LLC. AmeriGas Propane LP. Poist, P-O-I-S-T, gas.
Okay, these will be referred to the Bureau of Purchases.
B50005343, Pneumatic Tire Forklifts. A bid bond is required of 5% if the amount is over $100,000. Sure. Maryland Industrial Trucks, Inc., with a check, $48,400.
I'm out of here. This will be referred to the Bureau of Purchases.
Thank you.
Forgot.
Okay. There being no further business, we are adjourned. Thank you.